Good evening or afternoon, everyone, and welcome to week 8 in CU 122. Chef Suzanne and I welcome you to another exciting live session here at Escoffier. Hey, Chef Suzanne and I were talking. It looks like week 7 was a big success for everybody. I know we had a fairly decent submission rate this week. And when we talk about submission rate, we talk about how many people submitted their assignments on time. We need to make sure that we don't let the ball drop in the final couple weeks. Hey, we got to finish strong. And you know, we talk about this all the time. In the restaurant industry, the first plate has to be the same as the last plate, and you can't slow down in between. So everybody needs to keep things going strong. We're in week 8. You know, we finish at week 12, so we're not that far away. Don't put the brakes on until after week 12. So I know Chef Suzanne has a lot to share regarding the cookies this week, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions. This class has been absolutely fantastic as far as communicating is concerned. I have to congratulate you guys. Sometimes we get quiet classes, but this class has really been reaching out, asking a lot of questions, and getting a lot of information. So congratulations to you guys for taking advantage of the opportunity. I think that is wonderful. Chef Suzanne and Texarkana.
That's true.
Yes.
Where we had cookies last night. So my husband went out to a work dinner, and when he got home last night, he walked through the door and he came in the living room and he said, "So you made cookies. Are you grading cookies this week?" And I was like, I might be grading cookies. So I literally had to stop and go in and bake some cookies last night because y'all just inspired me again. I had to have cookies and they're so good. So definitely inspired by all of you again. Y'all are gonna make me fat. So thank you very much, I guess. So I do have my presentation that I have to show, and I'm pretty excited about it. Can you see my screen?
I love Dawn. That is awesome.
Can everybody see Dawn? Dawn makes every week of grading fun. So I don't know, can y'all see that? Elf tested, Santa approved. It made me laugh for at least a couple minutes when I was grading. So I felt like he deserved to be on the front page of the display this week because he was too much fun. But he wasn't the only one having fun this week because Anthony also had a little fun. But he also made some beautiful cookies. But he's got, you know, the best plate ever.
That's awesome.
And then we had some absolutely gorgeous cookies. Sabina had some, I believe those are walnuts in her cookies, and they look just to die for. Now can y'all see why I needed cookies? Just think about the pictures you sent too, and this is why I had to make cookies.
Sabina pulled her cookies out of the oven at the perfect moment. And yes. I noticed a couple of them got a little brown, a little bit more brown, and I think everybody needs to remember that cookies are really susceptible to carry over cooking, and you never want to cook them all the way in the oven.
Yeah, and I actually saw that in several comments about the cookies. And like, here's another one. These pictures look like they came right out of the oven. And Mildred also made some little ice cream sandwiches because you cannot beat that. But apparently great minds think alike because Donald also made some little ice cream sandwich cookies because he was just on a roll this week.
Oh, those are awesome.
Yeah, those are great. And I saw some, not only did I see that, I also saw some folks doing some really fun pairing. I did see cookies and milk, but I saw cookies with stout beer and something else. Several people did some, paired their cookies with different drinks. So y'all are just too creative. Donald also had some great images here because I like the one on the left. You can see like the chunks of butter that are still there, which means it's going to be super flaky when he's ready to make his pie crust. Melissa here also had that really shaggy looking flour and fat before she added everything and got it all combined together, and that just looks awesome.
Good job.
Beautiful cookies. So Christy, I'm thinking, made cookies for the neighborhood. I'm not 100% sure, but I kind of feel like she did. That's a lot of cookies. So I don't know who she made those for, but I'm sure they're really happy. And if y'all are not, don't those look great? And that is like the nicest cooling rack ever. Mine are stackable, but I think I like this expandable one even better. I'm a little jealous of that. And I think this is my last one. Chad kind of got in under the wire. And I like his pie crust especially because you can see the butter still. You can see the little pieces of butter. So when that is rolled out, that's going to be flaky and amazing. So
I'm going to have to say I'm proud of this class. And I know that's just a small sample of all the great assignments that we received. So that's a big thumbs up. And there's nothing like seeing the outcome of everybody learning these techniques. And that's just fantastic. So I think we have a lot of rock stars in this class. And maybe one day we'll end up working for them, Chef Suzanne. It's a possibility. Ladies, what's that?
I was just going to say, they really did. They really, truly inspire me. You know, just make me want to go in the kitchen. And I wish I had some pictures. Long story, don't have any pictures, but I really did make cookies last night. Oh,
see, I would love to make cookies at home, but I have two small children, a 7 and an 8-year-old. We call them Pete and Repeat. But if one cookie would just, it end up in a total battle, you know, about who's going to get that cookie. And so just to avoid it, no cookies. All right, ladies and gents, let's move on to week 8 in CU 122. Taking a look at a couple of notes this week. Excellent work in week 7. You guys rock. If you are concerned about your grade in this class, and there might be a couple of you out there that feel as though you need a little extra help and you want to make sure you get through the course, do not wait until week 12 to ask for assistance. Now is the time that Chef Suzanne and I can step up to the plate. We have plenty of time to work with you. We have plenty of time to help you out. So let's do it now. Let's not wait till week 12. And please, ladies and gentlemen, post attendance. There were 99 of you on Monday that were on that list. And that can be quite time consuming. I don't mind doing it, but I'd much rather spend time with students who need the help. So just do yourself a favor. Make sure you post attendance at least every 4 days. What that does is that keeps you close to the program. And we have studied and researched everything. And the students that do post that attendance at least every 4 days are the ones that consistently succeed because you're staying close to the program, and that's what we want to see. So please, please, please. And then, like I mentioned a moment ago, keep it going. We do not want to drop our guard here in the last couple of weeks because you know what? This class has been rocking, and I want to say that on week 12 too. And I know that everybody out there can do it. Chef Suzanne and I have a lot of faith in everyone. Now, we were talking about an oven here before the class started, and this is a great saying that I really appreciate here. I don't think there's any chef that is born great, like in music or in sports. You have to burn yourself. Messing up makes a better chef. And ladies and gents, we're gonna talk about that a little bit more in detail here in the next few minutes. Making mistakes while you're in culinary school is the ideal time and place to do it because it really creates an open mind, and we're really able to work with you and help you out. Here's a couple of sayings that I wanted to share. Open-minded people, this is actually Chef Suzanne that did this one here. Open-minded people embrace being wrong, are free of illusions, don't mind what people think of them, question everything, even themselves. And these are some great quotes just to help you remain open-minded. Make mistakes, but learn from them. I think it's very important to have a feedback loop where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could do it better. So ladies and gents, that is some excellent advice. I love the mashed potatoes on that, by the way.
Well, the mashed potatoes I put there so that I can tell a quick story. So when it comes to mashed potatoes, I grew up, my mom made mashed potatoes, I don't know, probably every other day, I swear. And I grew up thinking I absolutely hated mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes were just awful. And turns out it's not mashed potatoes. It's just mom's mashed potatoes. So please don't tell mom. I've recently approached this subject just a little that maybe mom's mashed potatoes are not so good, but it turns out I love mashed potatoes, just not mom's. But if I were to ask my mom if she makes great potatoes, she will absolutely say she makes the best mashed potatoes, and there's nothing I can tell her that's going to make her think any differently, but I'm working on it. So keep an open mind that just because you've done something one way 1,000 times doesn't mean there may not be slightly better ways or different ways. or more effective ways. So keep that in mind when you're listening to your feedback and you're listening to stuff in class. You know, when Chef is talking, going, well, that's not how I do it. Well, maybe there are better ways. And maybe Mom will eventually start making better mashed potatoes. I'm very optimistic. That's what the potatoes are for.
That's awesome. And as well, ladies and gentlemen, in the hotel and the restaurant industry, we have a lot of what we call recap meetings, where we sit down and we provide feedback for one another about certain events, banquets, catering functions, holidays and events. And I remember as a young chef, I used to get really offended with some of the feedback I would get. And I would spend a lot of time trying to convince those giving me the feedback that they were wrong. But instead, if I would have been smart, I could have just sat and listened to them and really digested the information and thought, number one, what can I do to make it better? And so we're urging everybody, remain open-minded. You're going to go a lot further in this industry being open-minded than you will be trying to defend yourself against certain issues. So this is a little bit of information and a little bit of chef wisdom, we'll call it. How's that, Chef Suzanne? Chef wisdom. Yes.
Sounds good to me. I'll run with it.
Speaking of chef wisdom, we are going to take a little look here at somebody I respect quite a bit, and his name is David Chang. I don't know if how many people out there are familiar with David Chang, but he is a very prolific chef. He's been extremely successful, Momofuku's and many other restaurants he owns now. He has a net worth of about $75 million, and he's done quite well. But he has some great advice for all of you that I'd like to share, if at all possible. Sorry about the ads coming up. And they're silent.
The more I discovered about the world of cooking, I thought it was a band of misfits and misanthropes and people that didn't necessarily fit into society. What I didn't anticipate was like a level of professionalism and intensity and teamwork that I loved about playing sports. And when I got to work for Tom, it was just, what I loved was the dichotomy of people that could not do their own laundry at home, right? Or even make their own bed or change their sheets or pay their bills, anything. But once they put on their whites, they were like becoming a surgeon, or like everything was perfect. And I could never understand that. Like, that was so fascinating to me, that you could pour yourself into a profession that doesn't pay well, that you get really no credit for, yet it was addictive somehow. And I'll never forget some of the tough services we had that year under Mark Canora, who was the CDC at the time. I just learned so much out of these people, Karen Damasco, all of these amazing people that just worked so hard. And I didn't understand that there was a whole nother level. And I'll never forget those nights when Marco would just decompress in the walk-in on a milk crate and just put his head down. And I, as a young cook, I couldn't understand why someone would like to do that. Yeah. It was like, yeah, that was hard, but like, I didn't understand what he was pouring himself into. Like, those services were hard. And Tom knows this, like, he gave everything. And that's what was so intoxicating to me.
And you can't cry in public.
No.
You gotta go in the walk-in to do that.
Yeah.
So that's just some insight from a very successful chef. You know,
I love that, Chef. I'm gonna need to find that and bookmark it, because that was absolutely great.
Yeah.
I actually was told once, and I remembered, no, there's no crying in the kitchen. Kind of like a League of Their Own. No crying in baseball, no crying in the kitchen.
That's it.
So,
right
you cry
there.
in the walk-in, you cry outside.
Yeah.
It is a very intense industry, but I would not want to be in any other industry. Absolutely.
There will be nights, ladies and gents, and days when you do feel like crying. But you know what? Hang tough, stay strong. It gets better every single day. And we all have had moments in the walk-in before. A lot of things happen in the walk-in. I used to know a baby named Walk-in, which was kind of weird, but there are a lot of things that happen in the walk-in. So that's a great place to decompress, and this is kind of an old school mentality. And I thought I'd share that with you this evening because of the fact that he worked under some of these. He mentioned the word CDC in there, and that's chef de cuisine, and that's basically the guy that kind of runs the kitchen and runs the line. And some of those services can be very tough. And you hear a lot of, hey, move faster, you can do it better, work harder, listen to me, I don't like that. You have to be open-minded, you have to be relaxed, you have to absorb what's being said and just do it. In other words, you have to set your ego to the side in order to move forward. And that is some very valuable information. When the chef speaks, you're just quiet, you do it, and you get it done. And you know what? That's how you get better, better, and better. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes, ladies and gents. So stay strong. Alejandro, what's your question, my friend?
Talking about tough days during service, there have been 2 occasions in the past since I started this profession. One of them was when I was working in a golf club that I quit a few months, about half a year ago, where I was all by myself during breakfast hours. And I sold about $800 worth of breakfast. And just to give a better perspective of how many dishes it was, the people there got a 50% discount, and each dish is around $5.
Wow.
So I was having to move as fast as possible. And at the same time, I was cleaning the 2 fryers because thinking that it would be a slower day than normal. I really had to move. I had to stop one thing, go to another, stop, go back. And then I'm pretty sure you're familiar with this specific day, Mother's Day.
Mother's Day is the busiest day of the year in the restaurant industry.
Yeah. We were 7 people away from sending 800 customers.
Yep. Well, welcome to heaven. Yeah. So that's great information there, Alejandro. I really appreciate that. And that's very true. I mean, you're gonna have days like that in this industry. Just be open-minded. Just remember, 1 foot in front of the other, and you're gonna get through it. It doesn't last forever. So pretty soon your skin will get thick and you'll be just fine. Sabina, what's your question?
More of a statement. I got to one up on that. I lost my freezer Friday.
Oh, that's not good.
It wasn't a big one, but I lost everything.
Yeah, that is not fun. And cleaning up the mess and throwing that food away is not fun. So.
And then having to go out and buy it all over again.
Yep. Welcome to the business.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Thanks, Sabina. I appreciate that. Hey, ladies and gents, let's move on to week 8. We got a big week coming up, and I think we've seen a lot of enthusiasm so far, which we really appreciate. This week, we do have 2 knowledge checks. This first knowledge check is based on the research materials. The second knowledge check is the conversion knowledge check, and we do have that here in just a moment. Thank you, everybody, for being at the Week 8 live session here in CU 122. And then pie production. This week, we're making blueberry pies. There will be some minor exceptions available, which we will discuss in detail. For those of you that have not noticed yet, at the bottom of the class page, right underneath where it says pie filling, each week we post the weekly presentation, which is this slideshow. This weekly presentation will have all the additional information that you need to successfully complete your weekly assignment. It also has a lot more in-depth information that can help you out. So make sure that if you do have additional questions, refer to that. It'll really help you out. This week we were unable to send out the weekly prep list. We had some minor issues with our messaging system, as in a lot of messages being sent. So we apologize. Yeah. but I think that is now fixed. Let's
I think they probably already got, because I sent out, how many times did lasagna dishes come out? Was it 7 everybody got? 7?
7.
Awesome, yeah, because I sent that out without realizing that there was a glitch in the system. And so I know some folks thought that I don't know, had some sort of fit and just was like, send, ha! But no, there was a major glitch going on. And I somehow got left out of that loop, I guess. Sorry about that.
Whoops. Hate it when that happens. So this week on your prep list, if you follow this prep list, your life will be good. Attend or watch the live session on Wednesdays. Read the research materials and understand them. And then complete both knowledge checks on Thursday. Read assignment, create prep list, timeline, and purchase mise en place on Friday. Very important to create that timeline and that prep list. Those are very essential tools that if you start doing them now, when you get into industry, it's going to be a lot easier for you. Prepare your assignment, check against assignment page and submit. Do that on Saturday and Sunday. And then resubmit assignment if recommended by Chef Suzanne on Monday or Tuesday. And if you follow that prep list, you'll always be in good shape with attendance as well. So that is your suggested week. Let's take a look at our week 8 conversions chart. This is basically all the information that is in that knowledge check. And once again, this PowerPoint will be posted on the class page under weekly presentation here shortly. Does anybody have any questions so far? Moving on to this week's assignment. Each week, we'd like to share with you a little bit of information about the equipment that you're going to be working with once you are in industry. So this week, we pulled up a baker's table. This is the only wooden table that's still allowed in most kitchens, in most areas in the United States. Most baker's tables are made out of wood. It's a softer surface. The doughs stick to them better, and it creates a completely different feel. Sanitation is a big issue with these, and occasionally you have to have them sanded down. So you will see these in a lot of larger restaurants, hotels, and bakeries. Flour bins are big deals. When we buy flour, sugar, and a lot of grains in the restaurant industry, we buy in 50-pound, 100-pound bags. They have to be put into appropriate storage containers. So these things are about knee-high, depending on how tall you are. And they have lids that slide open, and they'll hold flour, cake flour, pastry, bread flour, the whole 9 yards. Pie tins, these are an example of some down here. There is a difference in cooking time between the silver and the darker color pie tins. So the silver ones will cook quicker, whereas the darker ones cook slower. So that would be the big difference between the two. And then there's also perforated pie tins that allow you to help cook from the bottom and expose to more heat. And then we have pastry brushes. Do not go to the store and buy a paintbrush because it has to be approved by the FDA in order to be used on food, and we have special brushes for that. Rolling pins, a lot of different kinds out there. This is more of a traditional rolling pin, and then this one is fantastic for rolling out larger pieces of dough. And then down in here, what looks like marbles at the bottom here, those are called pie weights. And oftentimes, not this week, oftentimes we will pre-bake our pie shells. We'll line it with parchment paper, and then we put the pie weights in there, and that helps keep the dough down during the cooking process, helps prevent it from shrinking. Alejandro, what's up?
For the silver and darker looking bin that you just mentioned, would you recommend the silver or the other one?
You're fine this week with the silver because it's really not going to affect it too much. But once you get into some of the darker colors, if you're doing custards or other things like that, then you're going to want to switch over to the darker ones, which will help out.
Okay.
Willie, what's going on?
Good afternoon, Chef. Hey, question. Are we good to use glass pie, the glass?
The Pyrex?
Yeah.
You are fine to do that for this week's assignment. However, Once you get into industry, you're not going to be using glass pie tins, because glass in the commercial kitchen is a major no-no, because if it breaks, it shatters, and when it shatters, it goes everywhere. So
Right.
since you're doing it at home, it's no problem.
Okay.
You're in good shape. Thanks, Willie.
Okay. Thank you.
Don, what's up?
Actually, I was about to ask the same question about the glass pans, about the glass pie pans, because I have like one of each, so I wasn't sure which one would have been preferably to use for this week's assignment, because I have actually one of each.
Yeah, the ideal is the metal, because that's, I mean, to familiarize yourself, because there are slight nuances between the two. However, if you have glass, go for it. You're perfectly fine this week. So.
Also, I have a question. I don't know if it's a little bit ahead or not. To talk about, does it have to be blueberries that we use for the pie filling this week?
Don, you are way ahead of the game. Hey, hang on there just for a couple minutes. We're going to get to that, because there are a couple of exceptions, but it's a pretty narrow field. And once you see that, you'll understand what's going on. So.
Okay. And one more question. I looked at the conversion, knowledge conversion, and they said it wasn't available. Is it available now? Because I tried yesterday and it said that it was not available.
Suzanne, you want to check that?
I am on it right now.
Like, I shouldn't even said anything. She's like 2 steps ahead. I think I have the best partner in the world. I'm the luckiest chef around. So yeah, she's gonna check it out here, and then she'll let us know. So thanks, Don.
All right.
Thanks. Penny, what's your question? Hi, Penny.
I noticed that hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to find out in the video, the YouTube video on the top of the pie, the top crust. Is it okay if we do like a lattice crust?
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that here in just 1 second. So, and we'll talk about all that here in just a moment. But yes, you can do a lattice crust.
All right. Can we also do a pie bird?
Yeah. Hang on though. I want to get to that to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Okay.
Sound good?
Jeff, I just looked, and it looks like the knowledge check is open. So it looks like it is good. So if you're still having issues, just let me know, but it looks like it's okay.
It would not have opened until today. So if you tried it yesterday, that could have been the issue. So.
Okay.
Sound good? Ladies and gents, moving forward, let's fire it up and get on to rolling out pie crust. We're going to be working with the pie crust that you created last week. There's a couple of really important things to remember to make your life easier. Let's take a look over here. Make sure that you pull the pie dough out of the refrigerator at least 30 minutes beforehand. You want to let that get up close to room temperature to be able to roll it out. Don't pull it out of your refrigerator and then start rolling. It's going to be real tough for you. So give it some time to warm up. Some of the mise en place that you're going to be required to work with this week is a clean, smooth work surface. You want to make sure that there's nothing else on that table and it has been cleaned and sanitized, because if you were working with a vegetable or some type of protein on that previously, you could run into a little bit of cross-contamination. So make sure it is clean and sanitized. You're going to need some flour for dusting, a rolling pin, and a pie tin as well. To begin, you're going to apply a nice dusting of flour to your work surface, because that dough is going to get a little thirsty. So in order to prevent it from sticking, you're going to dust the bottom throughout the whole process. You're going to be lifting that dough up. You know, you'll dust the top, turn it over, and then dust the bottom just to keep a thin layer of flour on your work surface. You're also going to dust your rolling pin as well, because pie dough loves to stick to rolling pins. So make sure that you put a little flour in your hand and then rub it on your rolling pin to help prevent from sticking. And then you're going to roll that dough out about 1/4 inch or less, maybe right in between 1/4 and 1/8 inch. That's about how thick that you're going to roll it. Now, I have a couple of things that we're going to watch here real quick as far as some hints. I was going to explain this to you, but then I took a look at these, and they seem so much more efficient than what I was going to explain. You can put parchment paper down on your work surface if you have a full-size sheet. If not, you can work directly on your work surface. You notice that she floured the piece of parchment paper. Make sure you flour your work surface and the top of your pie dough. You notice that she's only rolling in one direction. You do not want to roll back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because that develops additional glutens and gets your dough hotter and forces that butter to disperse, and that will create a not very flaky pie crust. So push in one direction only. You'll notice there that she just turned the dough. Try not to turn yourself. Try not to turn your table. Turn the dough. This way you get it rolled out nice and evenly. Very important, roll out 3 inches wider than your pie tin. And we're going to show you how to do that here in just a moment. So if your pie tin is 10 inches in diameter, right, you need to have at least 3 inches all the way around the outside. So now the next thing that we're going to take a look at real quick is how to transfer the pie dough from the cutting board into the pie tin. I could easily explain this to you, but I think the visual is going to help out a lot more. Madeline, what's up?
Can you hear me, Chef?
Yes, can.
I have to make my pie dough again. So when I make the dough and let it cool, should I let it cool for 4 hours and then take it out, since that's the minimum, and then start the pie?
It doesn't have to be 4 hours. You could probably get away with 45 minutes to an hour. What you're trying to do is you're letting the glutens relax, and then you are allowing that fat to chill as well, so it doesn't get dispersed throughout your dough. So as soon as you reach that point, then you can start rolling it out.
All right. Thank you, Chef.
You're welcome. All right, ladies and gents, I'll explain this and then we can watch it. So after you have your pie dough rolled out, remember at least 3 inches extra in diameter than what your pie tin is. You're going to take your rolling pin, you're going to make sure it's nicely dusted with flour, and you're literally going to roll the pie dough up onto your rolling pin, and then you're going to roll it out over your pie tin. And then that's pretty cool, rolling pin, pie tin. I never noticed that. Every day is a new day, right? So then you're going to roll it out over the actual pie tin, and then we'll show you the rest right here.
My body is truly powerful.
Oh, that's cool.
To lower my blood sugar and A1C.
Because I can still make.
I'm Kelly Cindy with Epicurious.com, and this is how to roll out and transfer pie dough. You want to make sure that you've lightly floured your surface, as well as the pie dough itself and your rolling pin. A marble countertop is best because it keeps the dough chilled, but a wood countertop will work well too. You want to roll your dough to about 1/8 of an inch thickness, and also so that it's at least 1 inch.
So she brought up something really critical right there, saying that a marble work surface is best because it'll keep the dough chilled. Most likely you don't have an extra slab of marble laying around your house. Not too many of us do, and if you have marble floors, you don't want to be rolling on there. what they're trying to prevent is from that dough getting too warm. If you have a really warm kitchen, you might want to consider doing it earlier in the morning or later in the evening. You're trying to keep that fat as whole as possible throughout the whole process.
Bigger than the size of your pie plate. If at any point your dough is starting to stick to the board, just add a little bit more flour. You can gauge the size of your dough by turning your pie plate upside down and measuring it against the outside diameter. Once the dough is rolled out, you're ready to transfer it to your pie plate. To do this, you want to roll it up onto the rolling pin.
So you're just rolling it backwards. That's all you're doing.
And then simply unroll it into your pie plate. Using your fingers, push the dough into the corners of the pan. If at any point your dough tears, it's no reason to freak out. You can just use a little bit of the excess to patch any holes. No one will even see it because you'll have filling in the pan. You can trim off any excess dough using your kitchen shears. And then you can finish off your pie dough by crimping the edges. You can do it simply with a fork by pressing the tines of the fork into the side of the pan, or you can use your thumb and your forefinger and push the two together. And that's how you roll out and transfer pie dough to a pie.
Using your thumb and your forefinger and pushing the two together is crimping the dough edge, and that creates that nice, lovely shape that Grandma used to use quite a bit. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Pie plate. For more recipes and tips, head over to epicurious.com.
Anyone have any questions about that? Nope, we good? Well, let's keep moving forward here.
I will jump in real quick, Chef. I know she had said lightly flour, and I think that is a really important thing to remember. Very light dusting of flour on your surface, on your rolling pin. If you put too much flour in, then it can start to make it, your crust starts to get tough, and what you're trying to keep it is nice and light and flaky and delicious. And if you just keep adding more and more and more and more flour, it can change the whole texture of your pie crust. So be very careful. You can always add more if you need it to keep your surface from being sticky, but you can't take that flour back out. So just add what you need.
Excellent advice. Yes, and that's why they use the word dusting. Yeah, and not piling. So we want to make sure that we dust. Alejandro, what is your question?
And how do you know when your butter is from the pie dough is starting to melt, and how can you salvage that situation?
You can salvage that situation by stopping what you're doing, wrapping it in plastic, put it into your refrigerator. The dough, when it reaches about, when it feels even to your skin temperature, that's about 98 degrees, you're getting in trouble at that point. So that's when you just want to kind of chill out, let it relax in your refrigerator to keep those lumps of oil or lumps of fat in shape. Does that answer? Does that help?
Yes, and would you have to restart from the ball of dough, or can you resume from the...
You can resume.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Alejandro. Madeline, what's up?
For the assignment, do you have a preference if we roll it with our fingers or if we use the fork method for the outside?
We are fine either way with that. So I prefer the crimping technique with the thumb and the forefinger. I think that's just kind of cool looking. However, if you want to use a fork, I think that's perfectly fine as well. Is that okay with you, Chef Suzanne?
I wholeheartedly agree. Either way is perfectly fine. Crimping is just normally a little nicer presentation, but it both work. They're definitely both good ones to kind of have in your back pocket as something to know. So,
yes, absolutely. So moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, we had a couple of questions about the topping to the pie. We want to see a dough topping on the pie. That means no crumbs, no strudel type topping. You're going to use your pie dough. You're going to roll that out. You can lay that over the top of the pie, which we're going to show you here in just a moment, and then you can crimp it to the edge with your thumb and forefinger, or a little egg wash, which we're going to talk about here in just a minute, between your crust and the top. And then you'll want to cut a vent into that to allow the additional steam to escape. We do love it when you guys make things look very nice. You can do the bird presentation, or you can do a lattice topping here, which we're going to show you real quick on how that is put together. This is a really super simple method. I really like the way this gal does it.
And welcome to our kitchen.
We're going to show you how to make a lattice pie crust. Roll out enough chilled pie dough for the top of a 9-inch pie. A 13-inch circle should do it. Use your favorite recipe or store-bought dough. You could also check out our flaky pie crust recipe. Then measure 3/4 inch increments and cut into strips. They
Keyword measure with a ruler.
don't need to be perfect. Now it's time to make the lattice crust. It's really simple.
Make sure that you attach the strips when you are done by crimping, right? So you can use your thumb and your forefinger to crimp that into the edge.
Just lay 5 strips over the filled pie. Carefully fold back the 2nd and 4th strip, then lay another strip of dough perpendicular to them. Unfold them over the new strip. Next, fold back the 1st, 3rd, and 5th strips, then lay another strip of dough perpendicular to them. Unfold them over the new strip. Just repeat this until the pie has been covered with the lattice crust.
Beautiful lattice topping.
Trim the dough to within a 1/2 inch of the edge of the dish. Then fold the edges of the bottom crust underneath itself, creating a thicker border that rests on the lip of the dish. And that's it.
Ladies and gents, any questions about the lattice topping? No? You're welcome to do the lattice topping, or once again, you can just do a straight sheet of dough across the top. You're going to follow the same method by rolling it back and then rolling it out over the pie. And that will do the same thing as well. Penny, what's your question?
On the lattice, every time she pulled back the dough and placed new, my mother always done the egg wash there to hold it.
You can.
And I was wondering if
I don't think that's absolutely essential for a lattice topping. I do like to egg wash the top, the entire lattice once it's done, to give it that nice sheen, which we're going to talk about here in just a minute. Sound good?
Mama said it always held the dough strips better to keep them from,
moving around.
Just slide. Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, I think. Yeah, egg washing over the top will do the same. So, yeah. All right, Penny. Thanks for the question.
Thank you.
Dee, what's up?
Hey, quick question. As far as the pie plating, glass versus aluminum, what do you prefer? Like I read somewhere, I guess, where the glass cooks it quicker or faster. Do you guys? Is there anything that really kind of makes you feel warm and fuzzies that you use more than the other?
It's like how do I explain this? It's like driving one car or the other car. Once you get used to that one car, that becomes your favorite car, even though the other car probably does the same thing in the long run. And I think after being in industry for so many years, we get used to working with those aluminum pie tins, and you learn how to gauge it, you learn how to see how it works. Both products have the same end result. The only variance would be the amount of cooking time and the cooking heat, which you need to be a little bit careful about. But other than that, it's what you're used to and accustomed to. We highly recommend becoming accustomed to the aluminum ones, because in industry, you're not going to be working with the glass ones. Does that answer your question, Dee?
Yes, thank you, Chef.
You're welcome. Ladies and gents, we are moving on to the cooked juice method. That is a requirement for this week's assignment. It is essential that we work with this. That is the technique that we are teaching. And basically what the cooked juice method is when you have a frozen or a canned fruit, you drain any excess liquid into a pot, and then you'll make up the difference between what's required and what you have with water. And then that liquid will be thickened with a slurry, which is cornstarch and cold water. Make sure that liquid is at a boil before you add your cornstarch and water. Otherwise, the cornstarch will not thicken it. So it must be at a raging boil. Stir rapidly. Slowly stir in your cold water and cornstarch mixture, the slurry. You're going to stir that in until it is clear and thickened. Clear, not referring to the color, but to the cloudiness of it. And then you'll add your sugar, salt, and other flavorings and stir until dissolved. And then you fold that back into your whole fruit. Any questions about that? Dawn?
Yes, I have a question. Okay, so if, for example, if you're using canned fruit or frozen fruit, I will understand where the juice would come from. But where would the juice come from if you're using like fresh blueberries? There's no juice with those. So where would juice?
You would use straight water.
Okay.
Right? Does that make sense? But we request this week that you're gonna be sticking with the frozen or the canned fruit. The reason for that is we're trying to get a clear understanding to make sure that you know the technique of the cooked juice method.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. What's that? Okay. Alejandro.
So you freeze the fruit, you thaw it out in a pan?
No. Yeah, you'll buy either frozen or canned fruit. So when you buy it, it's already frozen.
Okay.
And you'll thaw it out in your refrigerator, preferably in a pan, capture all the juice and put that into the pot.
Okay.
And just, yeah, we're going to go over we have the recipes here. So I hope that helps. Thanks, Alejandro. Willie, what's up?
Hey, Chef. So canned peaches or frozen peaches are good in lieu of blueberries and stuff.
Hang on with that thought. Hold that thought, because we're gonna get to that point here in just a minute.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Don, what's up? D-O-N, not D-A-W-N. Don Holt.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to put my hand down. I had the same question about fresh versus frozen.
Okay. No worries. Don Moore. Don?
I asked my question. I must forgot to put my hand down.
No worries. You're good. All right, ladies and gents, let's move forward. Now, Chef Suzanne and I are going to talk about the cans and can'ts this week, because we know this class is very creative and you guys have a lot of wonderful things that you like to add. But like we mentioned last week, we're very, very particular that we want to ensure that you understand the techniques. So we have set a certain guidelines here to help everybody, and you must fit within those guidelines to have your assignment be in an acceptable range. Should you choose to do something other than what's within the guidelines, serve that to your friends and family, and then just prepare one that does fit within the guidelines, and you'll be in good shape. Let's take a look at the slide. Chef Suzanne, you may substitute a different frozen or canned fruit. Okay, so Willie asked if he could use frozen peaches, and the answer would be yes, because it can come frozen or canned. No canned pie filling. Bad. Do not do canned pie filling. That kind of defeats the purpose of what we're trying to help everybody learn. So once again, no, you can use a different frozen or canned fruit other than blueberries should you choose not to. We would prefer blueberries. However, I know that some people like peaches or whatever the case is, but no canned pie filling because that defeats the purpose of what we're trying to teach. Don, what's up?
Is there any particular fruits, like I know they say you can substitute blueberries, but is there any specific fruits that can and cannot be used as a substitute? Because I know some fruits cook different than others.
Yeah, and that's why we're trying to keep everybody within the same range. I would highly recommend the blueberries because you're going to have the most effective, consistent result with this week's recipe. We can't create recipes for 75 different fruits. However, you might have to thicken it just a little bit more depending on the type of fruit that you choose. Should you choose frozen cherries? Should you choose frozen peaches? The consistency is going to require a little bit more attention because of the moisture content in the fruit. So good question, Don.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. All right, the next thing, ladies and gents, we ask that you please do not use fresh fruit for this week's assignment. So, if you have a basket of fresh strawberries in your kitchen, just use it for a smoothie. Make something else with it. But please stick within the confines that we have asked. No custards, no cream pies, please. Should you have the urge for a banana cream pie, make 2 crusts, one for the assignment and then one for your banana cream pie. The top of the pie should be lattice or solid with decorations. The decorations aren't required. However, if you do have that artistic edge, we highly encourage you to put some of that on there, and I think that's a good idea. So we do enjoy that. And then also, we ask that this week you use a light coating of egg wash over the top, which we're going to get to here in just a second. That egg wash will help give it a nice colored consistency. So we ask that you do that. Chef Suzanne, did I miss anything?
I do not believe so. So as far as, the canned fruit, stay away from, like Chef said, stay away from the ready-made fillings. You're just looking for canned fruit. If you're looking at frozen, I don't know, you can get, mixed berries and blueberries and peaches. So depending on where you go, there's a pretty nice variety. Like Chef said, though, it may require you to do a little bit of adjustment because of the moisture content. So say your frozen peaches are going to be a little different than frozen blueberries as far as the water content. So you make your filling and go, well, it's not exactly right. Well, you may have to add additional slurry to get a little thicker consistency to your filling because those peaches are going to have maybe more liquid than the blueberries would have. So just keep those things in mind. We want you to be able to have a little fun, but keep those things in mind. You may have to make some adjustments.
Yes, great advice. Thank you very, very much. Willie, what's up?
Just to make sure I'm clear, with the canned peaches, we're actually using the juice to make, and we're going to put a slurry to thicken it and so forth. You just follow basic guidelines of the berry pie, correct?
That's correct, because you're just cooking the juice. So you're going to strain the juice. I think the recipe calls for 125 milliliters of water. I'm not exactly sure. Chef Suzanne looks like she's looking it up right now. So if you only have 50 milliliters of water or of juice from your can, you will have to add 75 milliliters of water to make up the difference. Is that correct?
You are correct. It is 125 grams of drained juice plus
grams, not milliliters, sorry.
So way to remember, Chef. Good job.
Now, if we have to add water, does that mean, hey, adjust the sugar content or just go with what we have?
This is the standard rule of thumb with that, because the sugar content is going to remain the same in a raw state and in a cooked state. So when you have thickened your cooked juice, taste your cooked juice, because some of those fruits are going to be sweeter than others. So you might have to add a little bit more sugar. You might have to add a little bit less. We don't want to send you into diabetic shock. That's not good. So you're going to have to taste it.
Okay.
Sound good?
Do like a little analyze and then adjust and things of that nature, correct?
Yep. You're right on the money, Willie.
Okay.
Thanks, man. Veronica, what's up?
Hi.
Hi.
Going to ask, oh Lord, did I forget my question?
That's funny. It's amazing how many chefs go running into the walk-in and then we forget why we went to the walk-in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I knew it was something to do with, you know what, it just escaped me. So maybe I'll think of it before we actually end in a couple minutes.
You do that, and you just get right back to us, and we'll help you out.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Veronica. Alejandro, what's your question, bud?
Instead of water, can you add simple syrup to the cooked juices?
No, you're going to say you will give yourself insulin shock if you do that. So, and that's why the recipe calls for water thickened, and then you're going to taste it to adjust your sweetness.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yep.
Okay, Veronica, what's up?
Yeah, I know it now. I was going to say, if you happen to use a different fruit, such as peaches or something of that nature, frozen peaches, should we look up a recipe for like a pie using peaches, or just stick with what we have?
That's it. Stick with what you have, because we want to make sure that you understand the cooked juice method.
Right. That's why I was asking, because of the water content, the moisture content.
Correct. So once again, after you thaw them out and you reserve the liquid, or you open up the can and drain the liquid, the recipe calls for 125 grams of liquid to be thickened. Once you strain or drain your frozen or canned fruit, if you only have 50 grams of liquid, you're going to have to add another 75 grams of liquid to make it 125.
Okay, no problem.
Yep, and the recipe explains that. So all you have to do is look up the recipe, and that'll help you out. Sound good? Thanks, Veronica. Alejandro, you got your question answered?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, ladies and gents, let's rock and roll. Let's take a look at egg wash here real quick. I want to remind everybody that this information is on the class page under weekly presentation. So I know we went a little fast tonight. Some of those videos you might want to take a look at again. It's all on the class page at the very bottom under the title Weekly Presentation, ironically. So let's take a look at egg wash here. Egg wash is a term that you'll hear a lot in the restaurant industry. We use it a lot in the pastry department. That's what gives some breads and pastries that nice golden brown shiny look when it comes out of the oven. It is also a glue. It holds things together. Penny was alluding to the fact earlier that when you make the lattice topping, you can help the strips of dough stick together by using egg wash, which is true. Or you can just egg wash right over the top, which will give your food a nice shine. So we want to see everybody do a little egg wash over the top of their pastry or their pie this week. Make sure you don't have any pools of egg wash on there, otherwise they get that nice yellowy color, and that's not good. So you want to have a nice thin, even layer applied with a pastry brush. To make the egg wash, crack an egg into a bowl, beat it thoroughly with a fork, and then you're going to add 2 tablespoons of water and just a touch of salt. And then you're going to stir until combined. That's all it takes to make that. It's about a 30-second thing to make. As you work with egg wash, you can begin adjusting the amount of liquid that you add to the egg wash, which will in return adjust the amount of liquid. Any questions about egg wash? We all good? All right, ladies and gents, let's take a look at this week's recipe real quick. This is the cooked juice method like we talked about. We are not cooking the fruit. We are just cooking the juice. And here are all the instructions. We did receive a couple of questions this past week about the grams and the ounces. So if you have a scale, what you're going to do is you're going to change your scale from ounces to gram. I'm not sure which button it is, but one of those buttons will change it from ounces to grams. And then you will preferably put a container on top of that scale. And then you will hit tare, T-A-R-E. Tare will reset the scale back to 0. What that does is it accounts for the weight of the container. So you're not weighing it out. Most baked foods, a lot of bakery items are done in weight. And preferably with weight, I prefer working with the metric system. It's much more exact. So first thing you want to do is you want to preheat your oven. You're going to strain the berries and reserve the liquid into a pot. You're going to have to make sure you have at least 125 grams of liquid. If you do not, you will add water to your strained liquid to bring it to 125 degrees. Add first sugar, and then combine the water and cornstarch to make a slurry. That's different water. That's not the same water I'm talking about. So you have water that you bring up to 125 grams, and then to make your slurry, you're going to add 64 grams of water, 30 grams of cornstarch. It's generally about a 50-50 mix. This one seems a little bit extreme, but you can do a 50-50 mix. Make sure it is cold water. Bring your juice to a boil. Lots of bubbles on the top, at least 225 degrees. Begin stirring, and then you're going to slowly pour that cornstarch in. As you're stirring that cornstarch in, continue to stir. That cornstarch has to be distributed in order for it to take. If your liquid is not at a boil, it will not take, and the cornstarch will sink to the bottom. Got to have a boil. Very, very important. And then you'll add your remaining ingredients. You're going to let it cool, and then it goes into the pie tin. Any questions about that, ladies and gents? No? Let's take a look at this week's assignment. There is also a recipe in here for apple pie filling that my partner put in here. Which
I did. I actually took that straight out of the reading. It is in your research material. It's in the reading. It's on, looks like page 1000. So it's straight out of there. And it is also the cooked juice method, but it is using canned fruit. So if you're using canned fruit, this is probably a better option. And there's also some variations down on the bottom of that page for Dutch apple, cherry. So there's some great information there.
Yes, that is wonderful information. So, you know, I know Willie was talking about peach earlier, and there's some other people that are insinuating that they want to use something other than blueberries. So there it is. That will help you out. Taking a look at this week's assignment. Make sure you do have your self-identification photo, current week and current date. And Don gets a gold star this week, Chef Suzanne. I mean, that just, anybody that does that is, I mean, he's getting an A in this class.
I actually saw some others this week too. I saw some funny hats this week. I saw just there's all sorts of fun being had in cookies. It sort of brought out the kid spirit in a whole lot of folks this week. It was awesome.
You are onto that. They're onto your hat game because they know you like hats. So, and cell phones. So you got to be careful. Yeah. Sanitizing bucket. Make sure you pay attention to that. It's really, really important. I know it gets old hearing to say sanitation bucket, but guess what? When you're in industry, you're going to be doing that every single day. Great habits start now. So taking a look, make sure that you have a picture of all your mise en place. Pie crust rolled out before lining the pie tin. Pie assembled before baking. Pie after baking before slicing. And then plated piece of pie showing side view to demonstrate proper consistency of the actual pie. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Thoughts, concerns? Chef Suzanne, any last comments?
I do not think so. I think we went over this pretty good. You know, we do want you to have fun. We want you to make food that your family and friends will enjoy. So if blueberries are not your thing, try some peach, try cherry. Utilize the resources that are in the text. And we are here if you run into, you know, some sort of a major issue or roadblock. Just reach out to Chef Warren or myself. I'm really excited about pies. I'm really excited about this week.
Me too.
I think I'm going to be making a pie somewhere in the middle of next week. I can already feel it.
I can't wait to see next week's presentation of all the pies that come in. That's going to be awesome. I'm really excited for that. Ladies and gents, a couple of recap notes from tonight's live session. Make sure you stay on top of that attendance. It is critical. It keeps you near to the program. Your chances of success are great. Do not go more than 4 days without posted attendance, please. And then if you feel as though you need a little extra assistance or you have some concerns regarding your grade, make sure that you contact us now. Do not contact us in week 12 saying, hey, I have an issue. Now's the time to deal with it. Chef Suzanne and I got your back, and we're here to help you out. So we will do whatever it takes to help you out. We just have to be able to hear from you. That's all. Chef Suzanne, did you?
Get them in early so that I can have just so many pictures to show. I want to show off pies, so get them in early so I've got a chance to make my presentation and show off all the hard work that you're making on these pies. You know, you're gonna work really hard. I want to be able to show them off. Get them in. Get them in.
This week we want Chef Suzanne to be singing the blues on Saturday because everybody submitted their assignments. So let's make it happen. We can do that. And then tonight's theme, ladies and gents, learn from your mistakes. Learn from your feedback. It is extremely critical. Remain open-minded, because if you close your mind and you close your eyes, you're going to be held back and you're going to grow a lot slower in this industry. So just take a look at what's being said, grow from it. That's how it happens. Feedback is like water. You're a tree. You guys need each other. How's that, Chef Suzanne? I rehearsed that.
A perfect way to end.
Yes. Ladies and gents, have yourself a fantastic week. Chef Suzanne and I are here at your service should you need something. Have a great day, everybody. Take care.
Goodbye.